Hey guys, this is a brief video. A lot of people have been asking me about how I set up my portfolio for capital markets. Just a disclaimer, I know nothing more than any of you guys do about what they want. This is all just me guessing and just designing stuff based on what felt good. And also, feel free to look at this video and take inspiration from it, but please do not copy the format or the exact securities that I'm investing in, because that would just be dumb for all of us. So get inspired, but don't get too inspired. Okay, I'll just break down tab by tab what I did really quickly. First, I chose stocks and bonds, obviously. You're allowed to start with 1,000,000 shekel. The weights that they want us to invest is no more than 30% in stocks and at least 70% in bonds. So you could do 90% in bonds, 10% in stocks, whatever, but those are the parameters. And you have 1,000,000 shekel, so that's 300,000 shekel in stocks and 700,000 shekel in bonds. So first, how I picked, they want us to have a diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds. So I picked 4 ETF mutual funds. So each of these has a bunch of different stocks in them, and 2 bond funds. So each of these has a bunch of bonds in them. As far as the stocks, I went with TA 125, which is similar to the S&P 500, but for Israel. Alt Yeter, which is just this random one I found that has, quote, broad market exposure, whatever that means. Cannabis index, because that was just for fun, and a real estate index to diversify a bit away from your traditional stocks. And then in bonds, I went with a very safe short-term treasury bond, mutual fund, and a very risky corporate bond. And like I mentioned in the last video, I put all of the links to all of my download pages for each asset, so that every week when I have to download, it's all right here, ready to go. It's loading very slowly, but this is it. Okay, so I then set up a page for my stocks and a page for my bonds. So with the stocks, I have a column for each stock. This is the data that you'll get each week when you download. These numbers are already given to you. And I have a bought sold column so that I can say if I bought or sold and why. I probably will not buy or sell. I'm not planning on doing any of that, but if I do, there will be why. So I have my 4 stocks here, and then I have the price that I bought the stock at, the original price, the number of shares of each stock that I bought, and the total value. And I worked it out in such a way that the total value comes out to almost the 300,000 shekel that you're allowed to invest. So I had about 1,321 shekel left. And then you can calculate a few things from your stock returns, and it's the same thing for bonds, so I'm not going to show it twice. But for instance, if you download a week worth of data and you have the prices of each day, you can calculate the percent change by taking the most recent day and then dividing it by the previous day and subtracting 1 from all of that. So that's the daily percent change. You can also calculate the total returns. The total returns are determined by how much weight each stock has in the portfolio multiplied by its return for that day. So the weights are very simply calculated by the amount of value of each stock divided into the total value of the stocks. Again, this will make a lot more sense if you come over to me and ask me to see my Excel file. That's not a problem. And also, we learned all of this in quantitative, so you should be able to do this. Calculate your weights, and then to calculate your total returns for each day, it's the return of each stock times its relevant weight, and then sum all of those things up, and that's your overall return. You can calculate the mean return of your portfolio over time by averaging the total returns. You can calculate, what did I just do? You can calculate your portfolio return by adding together the 2 mean returns, or excuse me, not the 2 mean returns, but the 2 weighted returns. So yeah, that's my setup for stocks. I have the exact same setup for bonds, just have the 2 bonds here. I decided to put 80% of the very safe bond and 20% of the very risky bond. So I invested 559,000 into the safe bond and 139,000 into the very risky one, 43 shekel left over. And then I set up a total portfolio page. Just kind of what's going on every week. I'm just going to copy paste this. I'm just going to copy paste this every week all the way down to week 13. Net change in portfolio, there is no net change because I haven't downloaded the next week of data yet. But next week, that will basically be the new value of the portfolio. So that would be this, divided by the old value of the portfolio, and that would give me the net change. So that would be this, because this number will be different than what's here, divided by the old value, and that would give me some number besides 0. Super simple, just kind of, I mean, you know, pause the video and look at what I've done. I think if you're able to organize something like this, and you're able to build some summary like this, you're pretty well off. The stuff in between is just personal preference. So good luck, and let me know in class if you have any questions. By the way, I'm not the TA or the teacher. I'm just a concerned citizen.